cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to another round of the Race Anywhere World Series, part of our second season of this wonderful championship. We're back at an absolute classic of a circuit that in my opinion doesn't get used as often as it should. Mid-Ohio Sports Car course is a real big challenge for these drivers tonight. Hello everybody, my name is Chaz Draycott and I'm delighted to say that alongside me, once again after what feels like forever, is my good mate Ed May in the commentary box. Ed, we had you back with us at Silverstone at the start of the season, so you know exactly what's in store tonight. More fun GT3 racing.
Yeah, I was just about to say Silverstone was a real treat, a great introduction for myself into this Race Anywhere World Series, and this is actually going to be them introducing me for the first time commentating at Mid-Ohio. It is a tricky little track from my experiences as a driver. It really does follow the contours of the land. Not many circuits do. They're all sort of cookie cutters, don't really keep the same format of the air around it. Cough, cough, Herman Tilke, cough, cough. But here at Mid-Ohio, it's going to be a really interesting spectacle to see what the drivers do here this evening.
It is indeed plenty of corners for these guys to worry about, most notably the hairpin up at the keyhole. Now, it's so hard to get the braking right as you go up there because you're going up a hill into a hairpin. It can be a real nightmare. There's actually a tiny little oval at the top of there as well, so you can use that as a small oval circuit, which to be honest is an absolute belter, I think. The main circuit here has 13 corners around its entire vicinity. The carousel at the end of the lap, very difficult. Thunder Valley and the S's in the middle of the lap as well. Not an easy place to navigate. We've got cars out on track though at the moment, and currently they are just in their warm-up session. We have a couple of them all sort of sharing the road as it is at the minute. We've got Jonathan Ouellette, the fastest in the Pro category right now, but Dave Menino is in second place. Dave has been having a hell of a season so far and continues to be one of the real superstars. We saw him have that heartbreak at Silverstone though, didn't we, Ed, where he disconnected right near the end of the race.
Yeah, I was just about to mention, whenever we're in the commentary box, there always seems to be some very late drama. I think the last two times we were in the comms box, we've had some very late dramas, especially in endurance scenarios from what I can remember. Hopefully we'll have, for these, at least for Dave Menino, it'll hopefully be a bit more of a smoother affair this evening. You can see currently, in terms of the times being laid down in practice, he is the second fastest driver, marked by the little LED on the front of his windshield. You can see the fastest, though, is this man, Jonathan Ouellette, in the Twisted Motorsports livery. We mentioned last time we were together. It looks a bit like a Incredible Hulk tribute, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does indeed. The very shiny Ferrari has certainly been a car to... well, certainly not been a car to mess with. Dave Menino leads the championship, though, on 415 points. He's 15 points clear of Daniel Tenorio, who's then only 5 points ahead of Jonathan Ouellette. He is then 10 points clear of Harry Wills in the Pro standings. Top of Pro-Am has been a man that only turned up after the first couple of rounds and actually didn't score any points at the first round, Taylor Lane. But looking up and down the standings, I don't think we've got Taylor with us tonight, unfortunately. That means it's up to Andrew Rasmussen to try and gain some points because he is second in the championship, 20 points off. Dean Timms currently third in the Pro-Am standings there. In the AMs, it's Justin Delano that is fastest. And, well, he's top of the pile at least. He's fastest in this session as well by 10 points over Steven Martinez. And then we have Michael Fowler in third place on 390 points. Plenty of black, white and red cars in this championship, I've noticed, Ed. And to be honest, it seems like all these boys are a fan of that, as Gary Brown has gone around in the background in the Porsche.
Yeah, he's in the Pro-Am class. And like you mentioned, Chaz, about the Pro-Am fight, actually, Rasmussen isn't here either. I can't see his name at all on my timing sheet. So that allows the drivers maybe in third and fourth in the championship to try and close the gap down, take advantage of the big hitters in their class missing out tonight.
I hate to correct you, Ed, but he's there.
Is he? Oh, there he is. Right down at the bottom. He's just joined.
He's just joined and he's not put a lap in yet, so you are forgiven, my friend. But yeah, Andrew is certainly not going to let what looks like a Cadbury machine go to waste. It's actually got Moe and Shandon sponsorship down the side of it, so it looks very smart indeed. Tyler Campbell's back with us as well in the FTR esports machine. Kiva V in the chat, by the way, is saying, oh, that was a hell of a moment. He's saying, hey, ours is orange, not red. Fair play, mate. I'll give you that one. We've got plenty of wonderful looking cars, though, out on track. A number of Porsches to name that. Well, it's just, look at it. Absolutely love it. Mark Sigelkow here in the number 67 car, the 034 Motorsport machine. I also like the Team Premat cars as well. They run an absolute massive host of BMWs in this championship. Team Premat have a fantastic looking car, it has to be said. Logan Wyder here, third in his class at the moment. In terms of the championship, Logan is not having the easiest of times. He's currently 10th in the standings. He had a no points score at the third round of the season. He's on 255 points, 145 off the 135 off Taylor Lane. So he's got some work to do, to say the least, but still, he's up there scoring consistent points, just not enough to quite stay in the championship hunt.
No, unfortunately not, but just looking at these cars go around here, you can start to get a sense of how they'll race together. It is only practice, but there's a lot of cars on what is quite a narrow, twisty, turny circuit, and we'll start to see, I think, later on as the race progresses, that could definitely have a factor for maybe some of the pro class drivers. When they hit that traffic, could that maybe signal the pit stops coming through, maybe trying to get clearer air, different things going through. And just look at how much the rear end dances as well, even in something like the BMW, which is very stable, turns to be unstable as the track undulates up and down. Rear end can get a little bit squirrely, so Porsches could be something to look out for around here with all that weight at the back. Might help it to hunker down, but also, on the other hand, could allow it just to pendulum and spin right round.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes it can be a hindrance for the Porsche, sometimes it can be a blessing, and it can really help the car stay stable at the right points. This is Justin Delano in the Eclipse Racing Esports Ferrari. Look at that as they go over the crest of the hill there. Very, very difficult that is, just as they go out through the S's. And then Thunder Valley is that long right. Long left here at turn 13. The carousel at turn 14 over that slight crest. You've got to get the car tucked in nicely there for the final corner, the left kink at turn 15. I really like Mid-Ohio. It's a proper old school circuit, as it should be. It feels like it's a really small track because in terms of the amount of land that it takes up, it's not massive. So it all feels nice and compact. It's almost like, I mean, it's like a wider Alton Park, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking that, or a little bit like Snetterton 300, where they pack so much track into one very, very small amount of space. I think Snetterton, from what I can remember, is actually, I think the 300 layout, is it the second longest track in the UK behind Silverstone? Which you wouldn't think it is, considering how compact it is, but it's definitely so wonderful here at Mid-Ohio to see how much they fit in. And as you were reading out all the corner numbers coming out through the S's in towards the carousel, the corners just come thick and fast at the drivers. They'll be racing each other, but they won't have time to think about that because they'll be busy trying to wrestle through the corners as they come at them.
Yeah, indeed. They do come around very, very quickly. Before you know it, you've ended up right at the next corner by the time you've got out of the last one. So it's certainly worth making sure that you have your wits about you on this circuit. But sorry, it's not 15 corners, it's 13 corners on this this layout because the keyhole is classed as turn 2. The other track map I was looking at the chicane. Oh, John Cooper. Big hit into the barrier there in the Turnburn Moto car, but it's only warm-up, so now is the time to really throw the car at the scenery, isn't it, to be honest with you?
I mean, yeah, you don't get penalised for making a mistake in practice. Now's the chance to really go for it and see what you can get coming out the end. Sorry as well, I am getting a little bit of issues with my internet. I'll be gone for just a little while as I fix that. I think I know what the issue is, so bear with me, Chaz.
No worries at all. Thank you very much, Ed. But right now, the whole field is pretty settled into this session. It's 1 hour and 25 minutes, as you see in the top left of your screen. And there is a bit of a spread amongst some of the different classes here, actually. It's quite interesting to see. If I hide the different groups and then get them to show like this. Well, no, actually, that's not going to work, is it? Apologies. We'll get this sorted. We'll get it to show. There you go. So that's how it looks at the moment. You can see that a number of them are mixed in amongst all of the different classes there. You can see Delano's 11th fastest. That's a lot quicker than most of the Pro-Ams as well there. Some Pro-Am drivers a little bit further down in the order as well. But still, it's great to be a part of this championship with all of their wonderful, wonderful classes. So many great drivers on this grid as well. We've had some epic, epic racing over the time. and it's been very enjoyable to broadcast it so far. We're into the second half of the season now with round 6. Next time out we go to Zolder, the Grand Prix circuit there, a very narrow and twisty track as well. Then we go to Daytona Road Course on the 2nd of March. We have 2 weeks off, and we have Monza on the 16th of March, which will be a right laugh. And then 23rd of March we finish the championship at none other than Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans. What a place to round out the season, a real gem on the racing calendar. Logan Wyder just had a bit of a moment there, didn't quite catch him unfortunately to show you what had happened, but still, all cars out on track pretty much right now. It's a very, very busy old circuit, especially here as well actually, in this section, as you go right near the end of the lap up through to the S's. This is Jonathan Houlier, currently fastest by just over a 1/10 of a second. And really, I mean, it's going to be difficult to overtake around this part of the circuit, isn't it, Ed? You're just going to have to be relying on other drivers making mistakes at this point, I think.
Yeah, and I think you'll have to be patient when you come to traffic here. It'll be easy for some of the pro drivers to maybe get a little bit impatient, try and force a move where it might not necessarily be the smartest thing to do, but of course, when you've got drivers harassing you right up your rear view mirror, it's a lot easier for us to say it in the comms box, but when you are in the car, there are times when you can be forgiven, I think, for getting just a little bit impatient, especially in these scenarios where the traffic is definitely going to be key to navigate here.
Yeah, for sure. We go on board with Jonathan Houlier here. This is the keyhole turn 2. Look how deep he goes into there to make sure he gets a good run on the exit. You can see where the circuit's rubbered in. A number of drivers have been doing that. This bit here, the long right-hander, is classed as turn 3. This is where the rolling start-finish line is when they do longer races. He's just crossed it there, the little white painted line in the middle of the road. Hard onto the brakes he goes into turn 4. The long sweeping left, turn 5 over the crest. Blind exit there. You have to be so careful not to spin up the rears. Right 90-degree hander at turn 6. Carry some nice speed through 7. Straighten the car up over the crest through turn 8 to the right. Again, you're on the brakes. Very difficult that, because you've just come over a crest. The car's trying to completely compress against the ground. Then you're getting on the brakes and turning as well. Turn 9 was 90 degrees to the right. Turn 10 is fast. Mind the red wall on the left. And then turn 11 into turn 12, which is the carousel. That is probably the most difficult corner on the circuit, that, because you are going over a crest while braking, while turning. And then the final corner at turn 13. Hard on the power and across the line. A very, very quick lap here. 1 minute 20 seconds the fastest guys are doing. That's not long at all, really, is it?
No, not at all. So that does mean we'll get plenty of laps here. These races limited, of course, by time. I wonder what that's going to do for the strategy here as well, because you're not flat out for much of the lap. Maybe we'll see pit stops coming in a little bit later than we're used to this season, Chaz.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I'd say, to be honest, there's going to be a few more laps either side with what sort of pit, what time people are going to come in. God, I really couldn't get my words out then, sorry.
Bigger pit window.
But yeah, basically, yeah, there's going to be more of a spread. So some people could come in and then it could be 5 laps before their rivals or the people they were chasing come in as well. What is going on here? What on earth are they playing at? There's a lot of the Eclipse boys there trying to probably get together on circuit or something, but there's a big old kerfuffle there, and that's gone to pot, to say the least. But the session is about to come to an end now. There was a stationary car in the middle of the road, so luckily that was the end of that. I'll just wait for everything to tick over for you, and then we will give you the grid for tonight's race. John Cooper on pole position then in the pro class, with Tyler Campbell alongside him. Harry Wills and Jonathan Houlier make up row 2. Daniel Tenorio and Dave Meneno make up row 3. Kai Dalziel is 7th ahead of Braden Carroll, 2 newcomers last time out. Jeff Carollo and Errol Urixoy round out your 10. Then it's Logan Wyder and Brent Brevata on row 6 ahead of Michael Kulaga and Eric Kulaga. Gary Brown and Mark Sigelkow round out row 8. Then it's Jeremy Littleton and Dean Timms, with Andrew Rasmussen at the back of the Pro-Ams. Drew Neubauer is 20th ahead of James Hebb and Daniel Florea. Then it's Jason Bridges and Matthew Plaisance on row 12. Behind them we have John Casey, Michael Fowler, Stephen Martinez and Justin Delano. So, pros will lead the way here, Ed. Then, of course, Pro-Ams as well, a little bit further back. How important do you think traffic is going to be around this circuit? Because I think It's going to be a nightmare.
It is going to be absolutely crucial for these drivers to get the best of the traffic, as we see a car blink in and out there. That's Tyler Campbell, and that is going to be worrying for all the cars in behind. Harry Wills, Jonathan Ullett, they'll be seeing that and thinking, oh, steady on, Tyler. Don't have that anymore, please, because especially on these first few laps, you want everything to be as steady as possible.
You do indeed. It's not a very long warm-up lap here. I mean, it's not a very long lap anyway, is it? Let's face it. But John Cooper is about to get this race underway. Tyler Campbell waits for an opportunity, hangs back on the right-hand side. And round 6 of the Race Anywhere World Series is underway. John Cooper leads them through turn 1, as you would expect. Everybody else is going to file in nice and tidy behind. Bit of dust and cones being kicked up there by the Ferraris. Across the line come our Pro-Ams, 2 Eclipse cars at the front, Kai Dalziel and Braden Carroll. Braden had a massive accident at Spa, but this time he's back out with a clean car and a big old Pro-Am field behind him. Looks tidy so far. I say that. There's a big contact, and in the background there's a big incident. Michael Killarg's in the wall. Oh, and Gary Brown's upside down. Gary Brown upside down in a big way. Mark Sigelkow involved there. Errol Uriksoy, I think, might have just had a hit as well. We need to go to the AMs because they're going past the scene of the crime. Andrew Rasmussen started in the pits. Probably a good shout, to be honest. But oh, no, 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 no. That was Mark Sigelkow joining the circuit again. And that was a scary, scary moment, that. But big, big accident in the AMs there, Ed. The Pro-Ams. Really not what we wanted to see. But at the end of the day, with such a high-speed part of the circuit, people are correcting themselves out of turn 1. It's bound to happen sometimes, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was amazed, to be fair, when we saw that Pro-Am field come to blows together. It was only 3 of them. I thought that could have taken out the entire field. So very good awareness from those drivers there to keep it as clean as they possibly could have on such a fast and frenetic opening few moments here for the race at Mid-Ohio. Following Errol at the moment, just in behind a Porsche up the road. That's Jeff Carollo. I would say in 4th place in the Pro-Ams. You can see right up behind the rear wing. Fancying a move potentially down the inside into turn 1 as there's side-by-side thinking about it up ahead. That is for the lead, I think, in Pro-Ams. Kai and Brent battling out. It's actually no Brent trying to defend, rather, from Braden Carroll. So Kai is, well, cleared off down the road and allowing them to squabble for 2nd place.
Drew Neubauer continues to lead in the AMs. He's just ahead of Daniel Florea. Daniel's gained 5 positions from where he started. Andrew Rasmussen is just behind in the purple Audi. He's Pro-Am, though, so he's not fighting them for position. And we've got James Hebb, teammate of Dave Meneno. To be fair, that was on Andrew for me. He went deep. James put his nose down the inside, and Andrew's just turned in on him there. That's a real shame. Jeff Carollo's also gone off the circuit, but if you look at this here, on board with James Hebb. Well, he's left the door way open as Rasmussen. He just cuts back across him. What happened to Carollo as well? Because, oh, he's had a spin down at the bottom of the hill, actually. Let's see what's happened here, Ed.
Right, so Jeff Carollo battling it out. Oh, it looks like the back end of the Porsche just seems to react to maybe a little bit of netcode, a little bit of contact somewhere, and that was what sends him round, unfortunately. It was good, clean racing, but unfortunately, the dirty word in iRacing, a little bit of internet connection issues, a little bit of netcode has paid to what could have been a really great fight.
Yeah, it certainly could have. That was a big shame, that, to be honest with you, but those things happen, I suppose. Now, we need to have a quick look at what happened in the Pro-Ams at the beginning here, because, man, we've just caught the end of that, but there was a big old shuffle around, wasn't there? We'll have to have a quick look and see whether we can jump back with, Michael Kilaga. This is a long way back, isn't it? Let's see if we can go from here. So Michael Kilaga in the white and blue Ferrari on the left. Oh, that's Sigelkow through the middle. Oh, that's very elbows out, it must be said. Michael's down the inside of him again. And then, well, his teammate, one of his teammates tries to go through. Gary Brown gets so unlucky because he gets flipped up in the air by the other Porsche going backwards. And it was one of the other Vulture Motorsport Ferraris. I think it was Eric Kulaga, was it, that was involved in that? Or, yeah, it was Eric that was... He just tried to poke his nose through the middle of the entire gap, and there just wasn't a gap there, unfortunately. It wasn't the best awareness, and it's taken a number of them out. Gary Brown, Michael Kulaga, and Mark Sigelkow. None of them will be happy with that. according to this again, because we've gone to a replay, the Pro-Ams are ahead of the Ams right now, but that is not the case. This is Jonathan Ouellette with Harry Wills in front of him, Daniel Tenorio behind, and then Dave Menino once again here, Ed, sitting at the back of the pros. He's done this multiple times and then won the race by just playing it safe early on, picking his fights when he needs to. Looks like he's going to do the same again here.
Yeah, I think he's been seeing what's been going on with the Prams in behind and thinking, I don't want any of that to happen to me. I'd like this to be as clean as possible. Thank you very much. So he's all squabbling up ahead. And, well, on board with him, you can see just how much these drivers are fighting for in these early stages of the race. Up as they slow it down, trying to pitch the nose in, keep the car nice and tight. Up there, that's where we're going to see quite a few mistakes, I think, at the rear end. Just kicking out a little bit for all these drivers. Then up again, cresting the hill. And that down once more. Trying to trail the brakes. You can just see the brake lights flashing there from Dave Menino. Through the carousel and then to the final corner coming up very quickly. Could be a good battle though between Jonathan Ouellette and I think Harry Wills as he has already gotten ahead of Daniel Tenorio.
Yeah, the two
just
twisted
trying to
cars.
set his sights now on the Ferrari ahead.
We've got this. Sorry,
yeah.
This just swapped around quite a lot in the background there actually. Steve Martinez and Matthew Plaisance. Him and Justin Delano have actually been swapping places a lot. Delano now finally ahead. He leads the AM Championship at the moment, trying to make his way through the field. Started 28th on the grid. He's 20th overall right now, but he's managed to just about get the move done. But not long before this, Florea got past Neubauer down the inside, and then Delano started this epic fight with Stephen Martinez and also the number 54 of Michael Fowler. So looks like Delano has had a bit of a busy lap, to be honest, but great side-by-side stuff all the same, it has to be said. And that's what we've come to expect all season, really, and we're still getting more of it now.
Yeah, we really are. As Jonathan Ouellette under pressure a little bit from Tenorio in behind, but I think Jonathan, the pace he was showing in practice, he's going to have his sights firmly set on that Audi just up the road. Harry Wills, who himself is keeping cars ahead, honest. John Cooper is starting to break away though, isn't he? The biggest gap in the pro field is the gap between first and second. So that's going to be very good for the Turnburn Moto driver, number 18, John Cooper. How long can he do that? Because he might be trying to take a little bit too much out of his tyres at this early stage of the race, and that could be something that Dave Menino is thinking about, staying in behind, looking after the car, looking after the tyres. In those last 15 minutes, he is going to be in the best spot possible.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you need to be just in the right place at the right time when you get pack racing like this. Jeff Carollo's just had a big incident. He's been off the road for a while. And again, just on the downshift, that Porsche really does like to step out. He does keep it out of the wall, but there's never an easy place to rejoin the circuit there, is it? Because you don't want to even start to pull back on, because you never know, you could just spin up the rears and spit back across the entire field. It's not a good place to be.
Yeah, especially at this early phase of the race when the field is so bunched up. If you see cars going up behind you, there's a good chance there's a fair few more on their way, and you lose out so much just waiting for everyone to come past. But you have to. It's the only thing to do in those situations to rejoin safely. You do, unfortunately, have to wait quite a while, as we see now. Jonathan Ouellette, I was saying he's going to try and focus on Harry Wills up ahead, but actually Tenorio keeping him very honest. Bumper to bumper stuff as they came through that final corner. Now into turn one yet again. The Ferrari in fifth place, piling the pressure on the Canadian we're on board with at the moment. Looking down the inside, is he going to go for it? No, not quite. Jonathan very late on the brakes. Has he gone too late? Has he missed up? Has he messed up or missed out? No, he's just about going to hold on to fourth place. That was great stuff. Left the space on the inside, realised his mistake as further in front. I think everyone's taking this as the signal to start scrapping. Harry Wills round the outside. Can he get the switchback manoeuvre? Can he get it done all the way around the outside to then get the inside? These two still battling it out wheel to wheel. Good, great, clean racing. Once more the outside being shown to Harry Wills, but he's going to finally grab a hold of second place. Gets it by the scruff of the neck, and now all of a sudden he's going to try and focus on keeping this an Audi 1-2, maybe with himself further in front in the next coming laps.
Yeah, nice stuff there by both of them. Great respect. They gave just enough space to have that battle, but the little move down the inside by Daniel Tenorio at the keyhole, to be honest, I think he showed his nose, and Jonathan was just a bit worried that Daniel was going to go deep on the brakes and give him a tap, because it was so close to contact. He just thought, I'm afraid not. We're not going to play that game again. So he just went a little bit deep. Kai Dalziel is still leading in the Pro-Ams. It's great to see a Mercedes going well in the championship. Jason Bridges has been racing the car in the AM class. He's not had too much success with it, though. He's had a few tough rounds, but great to see Kai Dalziel leading the way in this one. I'm just going to give the overlay a quick reload there, because for some reason it thinks that the Pro-Ams ahead of the Pros, and it still thinks so as well. But even on my screen, it's telling me that the Pros have completed more laps than them. So apologies for that, everybody. Really no idea why it's showing them that way round. There's a hell of a train here, though, by the way, with these 6 cars. Errol Urixoy, Braden Carroll, Logan Wyder, Eric Kulaga in this as well. He's right in the middle in 6th place in class. Dean Timms and Jeremy Littleton behind him. And a very long snake of cars. I mean, if we go on board, you'll see them making their way over the top of the hill. Even if we go on board with Littleton, there you go, look at that. Fantastic view from where he is, but quite a scary situation to be in, because you never know. All it'll take is one mistake from somebody else, and this could all go to pot.
There we go. You can just see the car sound a little bit light. The revs climb very sharply all of a sudden, and through there, that corner is so difficult. Rear end, as you're applying the power, is ever so light. Nice that we haven't seen many more incidents involving several cars so far this race. It's great to see that everyone's keeping it nice and clean, and that's hopefully not going to be curse of the commentator, because this is one brilliant fight now. Logan Wyder right up behind Braden Carroll. Into turn 1 he goes, focusing on trying to get the best run possible to look down the inside into the keyhole, but nothing coming just yet. And again, Chaz, I keep noticing this, but iRacing, why can't you add the LEDs on the BMW?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. It really upsets me that for some reason there just isn't that panel available. You know, all the other GT3 cars have it. Why not the BMW? We'll never know. Andrew Rasmussen there taking a few liberties. Whoa, big moment there for Justin Delano out of turn 1. Flipping heck, that was a scary moment. He really got the back end out there. As just behind Stephen Martinez having a quick look at Drew Neubauer in the BMW. Looks down the inside of the keyhole. Oh, John Cooper's off. John Cooper was our race leader, and he's gone off the road. I'm not sure if he got any help or anything, but he certainly had a moment. Let's have a look back at what's happened here.
Did he just run a little bit wide on the corner exit and that spat the car right the way around? We'll have a look now. Coming into the corner, it all seems fine.
Oh.
No, it just swap ends on him. Takes too much speed in. And that's the thing with this Audi. It is notorious for doing exactly that. We haven't seen it all race long. We haven't seen any Audis really encountering difficulties here. Maybe, unfortunately, John Cooper just taking a little bit too much into the corner. Yeah, unfortunately. That's really put a dampener on what was a great, well, opening 15 minutes of this race for John.
It is indeed. Oh, and that's how easy it is to do when you clip the grass. Logan Wyder just dabs the rear wheel off the edge of the curb there, and the BMW rotates very suddenly. Jason Bridges and James Hebb have both had an issue as well. Apologies for all this sporadic flipping around here. This is Jason Bridges having a moment. And where did James Hebb get involved in all this? Oh, he's had his own moment at the top of the hill. I think he got some encouragement there maybe from John Casey, but the two of them having a bit of an off in very quick succession. But this man will be fuming with himself right now. I imagine he'll be some shade of one of the colours from on that car at some point. He'll either have gone purple, he'll be orange or red, you never know. But John Cooper will not be too happy. Harry Wills now has the lead, and he's got the Ferrari still scrapping just behind him. Campbell, Ouellette and Tenorio, while Dave Meneno still lurking in the background in that very evil-looking Lamborghini.
Well, I think Harry Wills is going to be hoping that Tyler is the cork in the bottle almost. He knows how difficult it was for him to make that pass for second place on the Ferrari. He'll be hoping that Jonathan Ouellette and Tenorio and Meneno all encounter similar difficulties when they come up to the back of Tyler Campbell, who, to be fair, has been putting up a brilliant drive so far. Of course, found himself in second place due to the way that this championship sets the grid for the races, reverse championship order in each class. But to be fair, he isn't driving like a driver that's second to last in the championship, is he? He's doing a great job of keeping his car exactly where he needs to, and shows he's got the racecraft to match his pace right now.
As you can all see, I'm trying to fix the classes, because when you put it to overall, we get that. When you put it to group...
Oh, there's a spinner, and
Oh.
that's Harry Wills. That's Harry Wills off and out of the race, and it's another Audi finding difficulties in the space of, what, 2 laps? It's...
Harry's got a love-hate relationship with this Audi, and he's done exactly what we saw Logan Wyder do, but he's not been able to stop it going in the barrier, and that Audi has got a very, very loose and what feels like a very lightweight back end anyway. That car is not going to feel good at all right now. It's in the low downforce NASCAR spec, as we call it. He's going to be absolutely fuming with himself. Great battle going on here, by the way. Braden Carroll's lost 2 places to Eric Kulaga and Dean Timms, who's gone off the road. He's just gone a little bit too hot through the S's, into the carousel. Jeremy Littleton wants a piece of this as well in the Martini Ferrari. It's all starting to kick off now, Ed. They've got into a bit of a rhythm, and then some of them have fallen straight back out of it. Logan Wyder's off the road again. Feel like that that's going to be the end of his race. Matthew Plaisant's also off the road in another one of the Eclipse cars. Flipping heck, everybody's going off here. Let's see what happened to Logan Wyder. He's had a spin.
It's just a rear end going.
Yeah, he's thought, right, stuff that. I'm not having anything to do with that anymore. And Matthew Plaisant's, I think he's probably had help here, or has he? Oh.
It looks like... Yeah, I don't know. Did he have a moment before that? It seems the car was coming into that corner at a weird angle.
This is on the way in.
No.
That's a very, very slow, strange accident to have, isn't it? I still want to apologise for the classes showing incorrectly. I'm really sorry, because look, you can see there the pros are meant to be the top class of the 3. Then it's Pro-Am and then Am, but for some reason the classes are in a separate order, and it seems to think that Kai Dalziel is the overall leader of the race, when I can confirm to you, unfortunately for Kai's sake, he is not. He's got a big lead though, 7.9 seconds last time he broke a beam. That's amazing.
That is a very, very good effort from Kai in a car that is definitely not favoured at the moment. We can see it's literally just him and Jason Bridges deciding to rock the Merc. Did a few laps actually the other day in the Mercedes, trying to think about maybe if I wanted to race in the Bathurst 12 hours, and I can tell you that car loves to swap ends on the brakes. It's nice and stable coming out of corners, but as soon as you're trying to slow it down for a corner, it will try and swap ends, like maybe what we've seen happen to Andrew Rasmussen. He rejoins the circuit just about, maybe cutting across the entirety of the carousel. That could end in with a bit of a hefty slowdown. We'll just see what happened here. Whoa.
That's what happened to John Cooper. The exact same moment that John Cooper had, but somehow Andrew holds on to it and the car doesn't completely swap ends. Nice save. Not the safest of rejoins, but at the end of the day, I don't think he had much choice there, so we can't really comment on that. Tyler Campbell still holding on to this lead, though, ahead of 2 other Ferraris, Jonathan Ouellette and Daniel Tenorio, as Jonathan looks down the inside from very far back. He doesn't actually put his nose in, but he shows that he's thinking about a move. Great racing, though, from these 5. Been great stuff so far. Dave Menino still at the back of it, just lurking there in the Lamborghini, isn't he? The car looks evil anyway, but it's just this sort of evil villain waiting in the background for these Ferraris to have some sort of issue.
Yeah, we did actually see a difference in, I think, philosophy of taking that second to last corner, the carousel there. We saw that Jonathan Ouellette sent it in very quickly, but kept it to the inside, trail raked all the way through, keeping a very tight line, whereas Tyler Campbell opted for a sort of an outwards, then sweeping in late line to hit that late apex and sort of make that last corner, that left-hander, as shallow as possible to give him the best drive across the line. And now, depending on your confidence in the car, the setup, either one can work for you, but Tyler Campbell taking that wide line is always going to invite Jonathan Ouellette to try and send it down the inside, and maybe we'll start to see Tyler adapting to that as the race goes on, as Jonathan gets that little bit closer.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are closing up on one another bit by bit, aren't they? Jonathan Ouellette only a couple of tenths off the back of Tyler Campbell now. Could be working out for him, though, before the pit stops, just to save a little bit of fuel, because let's not forget about that long back straight that they've got here. You can do a lot of slipstreaming there. If you do play it safe, you could potentially save a little bit of fuel, and with it being a short lap as well, you won't have to save much to get an extra lap out of your strategy, would you?
No, not really, and I guess being in Dave Menino's place, you're in the perfect position to save slipstream. You've got 3 cars all breaking the air for you. Able to lift and coast wherever you please, pretty much across this entire circuit. He's just hanging back right now, looking after his tyres. You can see the attitude of his car into all the corners are a lot less aggressive than those ahead, obviously because he doesn't have anyone behind him to worry about, anyone in front of him to necessarily fight with. But still, as this race progresses, we might start to see Dave become a little bit more aggressive, I think, as it progresses, looking a lot more like how his car looks, aggressive driving to match that very aggressive Lamborghini Huracan.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to be so patient in these fights as well, because especially for Jonathan Ouellette right now, he's thinking about attacking the car in front, but he's also got to think about defending from the car behind. Dean Timms is certainly not worried about defending from a car behind because he is on the back of Eric Kulaga, and he has a good 2.5 seconds over Jeremy Littleton just behind him. He's currently in 5th place though, is Dean. And in terms of the Drivers' Championship in the Pro-Ams, he is 3rd. He's tied with Andrew Rasmussen, so he's certainly going to gain some points on him here. Taylor Lane is the championship leader, so he's going to get a lot from this. We've had a few cars go off track, unfortunately. John Casey's just had an issue in his Porsche. We've seen that before, haven't we? That's certainly a familiar moment, and it's suddenly going to grip when it gets back on. Yep. I tell you what, though.
Stars that out.
Yeah, that was gorgeous. That was absolutely gorgeous. Well styled out, John. We'll give you that. And then Braden Carroll's had an incident as well. Goes into turn 1. That's Littleton down the inside. Whoa!
I don't even think there was contact.
No, I don't think there was. I think it was just the tiniest little sort of overspeed into the corner. We'll go on board and see. No, it's just as soon as he gets off the brakes, the car wants to go around. Very, very close to contact, though. They really got lucky with that one, I'd have to say.
Scary stuff, but thankfully, no contact there. Paint stays on the Lamborghini, stays on the Ferrari. And I think we might stay with this fight just for a little while longer between Dean Timms and Eric Kulaga. No, we won't, because John Cooper has had yet another moment. Oh, it just keeps from going bad to worse to, well, as he peels to the pits, potentially catastrophic for John Cooper. Doesn't have any contact, no damage, but I think that could be the end of his race.
Yeah, I think more just out of frustration, to be honest with you. It's so easy to spin the car like that, especially on a circuit like this. It's very unforgiving. I mean, I compared it earlier to Walton Park. You know, circuits like this, Brands Hatch, a lot of UK circuits and a lot of American circuits as well, really unforgiving with the fact that there's a lot of grass, but you don't really get runoff anywhere. You know, you don't get anywhere to play with extra surface. Jonathan Ouellette doesn't need any extra surface. He's on the right-hand side of Tyler Campbell. He's going for the overall race lead. It would look like that on the timing tower if it hadn't have swapped the classes around. I'm really sorry about that, everyone. I really don't know why it's done that. Oh, Tyler's just turned into the back corner of Jonathan Ouellette there. Wow, that's an absolute cardinal sin to do that, isn't it? You can't turn in and just expect the overlap to have gone away. But car 2 takes the lead. Jonathan made a fantastic save there as well. The car did get out of shape. Tyler just turned in as if he wasn't there or as if he'd already gone past him. Luckily, though, they all continue and they're all still close together in this one. That was really quite a scary moment.
I think Tyler was expecting the overlap, like you mentioned, to have already been and gone. He was looking for a cut-back manoeuvre. It's very difficult if you are on, say, something like single monitors. I had a bit of a moment, didn't I, Chaz, in the Formula One league that you run, where into turn 1, I just turned a little bit too early. I think someone came down the inside into turn 1. It's easily done. Thankfully, no one got too harmed by that. For the moment, Jonathan Ouellette carries on, Tyler Campbell as well, and now Daniel Tenorio is going to try and fancy a move because he doesn't want to let Jonathan Ouellette disappear too far up down the road.
I think I'm sorry to have to do this, everybody, but I think to figure out the issues with our replays, I have to go all the way back here to when our pros crossed the line. Now, I know this seems really mental, but what happened is, in the replay, our pro-ams crossed the line, and then our ams crossed the line, but our pros didn't. And I know that sounds really silly, but I think that it didn't class the pros as crossing the line because it wasn't part of the replay. So if I do that and then go live, if I'm a clever boy... No, it's not fixed itself. Right, anyway, Tenorio still very much in this fight. He's really in the thick of it and has been since the start here. Daniel Tenorio has been really impressive for me. because he's not put a single foot wrong so far. But at the same time, he's just not been able to break forwards and make the ground that he would have wanted. Such a difficult circuit to overtake on, and especially when you're in very similar cars as well. I mean, identical cars. They're in the same Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. Maybe the setup's a little bit different between each of them, but you know, these guys, there's not really much of an advantage or a disadvantage on each other. They've just got to think about how they use the slipstream here, because there's not enough of a straight of it to use a lot of it up to there. It's all about how you get a run out of here. But look, he's got to wait now because Tyler's slow through there, parks it on the apex. And Daniel's not even going to get a good slipstream, though. He's not going to get a good slingshot.
You say that, he is closing in. He's definitely close enough to think about making a move. Looks to the outside. Is he going to then dart to the inside? Oh, he's just got the overlap. Just enough of a car's width there around the outside. Daniel Tenorio really trying to find a way through. And there's a little bit of contact on the exit. Wheels touch. Thankfully, they're all in one piece, but that was very, very close. Maybe a little bit naughty from Tyler Campbell, do you think, closing the door too much? Or was that his call? Do you think he had the right to do that?
I think Tyler just tried to go in a little bit hot and he just ran a little bit wide. You know, there was nothing too untoward about that. He didn't want to run him out of room or anything. I think it was just innocently running wide. John Casey has had another problem in his Porsche, I'm afraid. He's going to go through to the right and over the left. This car's going to rotate towards us, look. Yep. It's that crest. It's that crest. It's an absolute nightmare of a corner to get right. Back with Dean Timms in the middle of the Pro-Ams. He is chasing down Eric Kulaga, who's just gone a little bit wide there. Quite a big amount of damage on the front end of Eric's car from the opening incident. But still at the front of this class, Kai Dalziel, what a great job he's doing as well. He's not the overall race leader, no matter what the overlay tells you. But he is on a real mission at the moment. Daniel Florea continues to lead in the AMs as well, actually. He's been doing really well. We're nearly half an hour through this race already, actually, Ed. It's incredible how quickly time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I guess that means that we should expect the pit stops to start coming through in a short while. What will Florea do to keep Delano in behind? And we haven't actually focused too much on this AM class fight for first place, but there is one brewing. Delano just in behind, margin of half a second. Gap between the number 20 and the 38.
And he was half a
Ferraris
second
once more at the front of the
round.
class. Sorry, go on, Chaz.
Sorry, mate. He was half a second quicker last time round as well. So he's really got the pace. As Jason Bridges' difficult season continues to be difficult, I'm afraid. That Mercedes has not been his best friend. The High-Side Hustlers motorsport car needing an Austin Powers style 3-point turn to get back going. Although, to be honest, no, he is carrying on. Sorry, I thought he was just going to park it and leave it there. The cones go flying as Jonathan Ouellette's run a little bit wide out of turn one. But Campbell and Tenorio still having a good old scrap. And look, right behind them, Dave Menino, he's just enjoying the show.
Here we go. Then Tyler Campbell once more, very close in behind the gap. 1/10 of a second. Is he going to look to the outside and then dart to the inside? Tyler Campbell is covering that inside for all he's worth. Again, we can see Tenorio fancies that outside line, then goes for a switchback maneuver, but once more that'll be the outside line, Tyler. Then sets up another move, once more around the outside. The track just isn't really going in favour of Tyler at the moment. Gets close, thinks about move. Again, set around the outside. Tyler Campbell's putting his car in just the right spots to frustrate and keep Tenorio in behind.
Great viewing, though. Absolutely great viewing, especially if you're Dave Menino, just watching these guys get closer and closer together. I think Tyler's gone in a little bit too hot. No, he manages to keep it nice and tidy, but somehow, because that was very close to the wall, I thought it just upset the car slightly on the right-hand side. And look at that. Great launch at the final corner by Daniel Tenorio. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do anything by turn one, or is he? Does have a look down the inside, but he's just piling the pressure on right now. All the while, Jonathan Ouellette is getting away at the front. Dave Menino doesn't need to worry too much at this moment in time. There you go. Tenorio puts his nose down the inside. They've both gone in too hot. There's a bit of a shove and a barge, and through he goes. But to be honest, they both went in a little bit hot anyway. I don't really think that the contact was what determined that manoeuvre. Tenorio through into second place. I think he just went to go late on the brakes. Tyler accommodated it. And unfortunately, there was tiny contact, but didn't do too much wrong in my eyes there.
Yeah, I think that was what we call a touring car pass. He was coming through anyway, but just thought to give a little bit of a friendly nudge as something to remember him by.
Yeah, just to it's a Top Gear style. Oh, he was just giving me a tap to let me know he was coming past. Logan Wyder has given himself more of a reminder that the car doesn't want to behave itself. Wobbles over the crest into the final corner. It's been a really tough day for Logan, and he thinks, yeah,
there must be something with that setup, because I've never seen a BMW act that unstable. It might just be the track as well not favouring it, but it's really not going well for Wyder at this moment. It could be it for him in this race, as he's in the pits and doesn't seem likely to be coming out anytime soon.
Now Tyler Campbell's in the pits. He is the first of our lead scrap to come in. Not sure what he's going to do in terms of repairs or anything. I don't believe they get a fast repair in the league, so he may have to deal with some of that. You can see some of the splitter at the back end is bent slightly, the arch is bent in. The Pro-Am leaders have gone through already. Kai Dalziel still leading this fantastic race for him. Loving it at the moment. It's great to see that Mercedes going well. Eric Kilaga and Jeremy Littleton have both come in. And in terms of the AMs, they've not actually passed the pit lane yet, but we'll see, I suppose. Daniel Florea and Justin Delano. A 1-2 for the Ferraris at the moment. It's even a 1-2-3 for Ferraris with Stephen Martinez third in class. But it's Twisted versus Eclipse Racing Esports right now. And Delano, the championship leader, you've got to think, how long is it going to be before he tries to make a move and get through?
Yeah, I wouldn't think it's too much longer, because, like we mentioned, Chaz, Delano's pace to catch up to the AM class leader had been very good, half a second quicker. Now he's got up to the rear end. He's starting to hit a little bit of a brick wall in terms of his pace, how much he can get out of this Mid-Ohio course. So now he needs to set his sights on getting through Daniel Florea, as we've refreshed it. And I don't know what you've done, Chaz, but it works.
Well, I apologise everybody for the huge Windows noise that would have come through there, but basically turn it off and on again. I completely closed the software and did it again. Down to Tenorio has actually got back in front of Jonathan Ouellette here. The gap has completely gone, and Tenorio is down the inside. It sounded to me like Jonathan was maybe doing a bit of fuel saving there. Somebody's revs really dropped. I think potentially Ouellette thinking about the long game here. But still, we're just waiting for the timing to catch up. I do apologise, everybody, but it was completely necessary to make sure we didn't have the Pro-Ams above the Pros on the left-hand side. Otherwise, it was probably even more confusing. But still.
Just look at this as well, though. Dave Menino, he's closed that gap right down now to Ouellette and Tenorio, and all of this scrapping, all of that battling we just saw between P1 and P2. Well, that's going to be great news, isn't it, for Tyler Campbell? As peeling off into the pits comes Tenorio, got into the lead and then thought, I don't want to spend too much time here. I'm coming in.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to have a quick look as well and see what the gap is like for... no, it's not actually shown us there. Apologies. We'll try and get this done so it shows the right cars. No, of course not. I was going to try and do it so that we could see 4th and 5th, but that is not the case because Tenorio is that far ahead. It's not actually showing him. It might change
Campbell's
now.
just coming through the carousel now.
Ah, there you go. There it's changed. So 3 and 4 as they show on the map. And yes, Tyler Campbell is going to go through the bottom of shot. Where is he? There is he. Oh, he's got traffic in front of him as well as he rejoins. Oh, Tenorio
is he going to try and follow him through?
He's certainly going to open the door. That's Rasmussen in the Audi, is it not? Or is it John Cooper? Whoa, that was close.
That's Harry Wills, I think, isn't it?
I think it's John Cooper in the orange, white and whatever colour it is. Magenta, purple. You do what you want to call it. But Tenorio does just about stay in front. Now, while John Cooper is in their class, he's not for position. He knows that, but he gets out of the way. But yes, unfortunately for Tyler, that didn't quite work out. We'll show you how many stops they've all done on the left.
Oh my word, that was amazing awareness from all of them on the brakes, as we just saw Jason Bridges spin around in front of them. Thank you very much for getting the replay so quickly, Chaz. You're absolutely on it today with them. Look at that. Just sends too much speed in, spins it around, holds the brakes, but by holding the brakes, put himself in almost the worst spot for the pro class battle. Thankfully, there was no contact. They all got through relatively unscathed. That was very scary, though, for Tenorio. Just seeing that up ahead while his adrenaline was already pumping after the battle in the pits.
That is a big moment because that's Justin Delano, AM class leader, getting taken off by Errol Uriksoy in the BMW. So Justin lost a bunch of time there. Errol just a little bit too late on the brakes, and Justin has lost so much time because of that, as Jonathan Ouellette has now pitted and come back out. But look at this, Dave Menino, 10.4 seconds in the pits. He was in the pits for 9 seconds less than the guys behind him. So he's done this again now as Dave Menino. He's had a short stop, he's got out in some clean air, and this boy is going to absolutely fly now. You watch this. He's going to try and have a really quick middle stint while he's got less fuel in the car, less weight on it, and then he's going to try and just make sure that he undercuts everybody else, and by the time they've completed the following stint, he is going to be way out in front. This is great strategy work from Menino. He's been a joy to watch for this sort of thing this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really is, and we're going to see if it will pay off in any sort of celebrations at the end. Just in behind now, back car, number 49, that's Gary Brown. Just through the carousel, he gets clear enough out of the way and peels off into the pits. Dave will have to hope that this stint works in his favour, because this is crucial for his race. If he comes into the pit stop, finds himself in traffic for his final stint, that could really make or break his race. And for now, Jonathan Ouellette and Daniel Tenorio, they need to work together. They can't afford to scrap. If they lose time in this stint, that could be curtains for their race.
Definitely could be. We were just looking there at Daniel Florea and Michael Fowler. Michael has not pitted yet, but he's putting pressure on Fowler. Tenorio was just overtaken Ouellette, actually. We need to come back to this. He's gone down the inside at Keyhole. That is not working together, is it? That's not doing things by the book. The sun has started to come out even more here at Mid-Ohio, but they remain side by side all the way down the hill into turn 4. Onto the brakes they go. And still, Ouellette is down the inside. Tenorio's giving him space. All the while, Tyler Campbell sticking with them as well. This Ferrari trio has been great to watch all race, but this is not helping them out, especially with the strategy that Dave Menino is on right now. Dave is clear and gone, it has to be said.
Dave extended his lead as well by about a second and a half just from that fight.
Well, he'll be a happy man. He may see that on his relative as well. Of course, the little black box that tells you how far away all the cars are around you. But this has been a really, really cool race this so far. Really enjoyable stuff at Mid-Ohio. Definitely hasn't disappointed so far. I love the fact that this circuit gets used for some really long races, because it is one of those tracks where you can put so many laps in around it. I like shorter tracks for long races because it always feels a little bit more chaotic, you know what I mean? There's so many circulations of it done in a short or even a long amount of time. Drivers get a really good feel for the track, but when they have to go offline, they have to adjust more. You know, it can really shake them over a long race, so it does seem to usually be more exciting. Daniel Florea right now has Errol Uriksoy behind. Errol is in the class above, he's in the Pro-Ams, but then there's 12 seconds back to Drew Neubauer, who is currently on for a podium in his class, and he has pitted as well. But this is first and second. Michael Fowler is now in front of Daniel Florea, and Michael hasn't even pitted yet either, so he's on a real mission.
Yeah, he is trying to make the most of the clear air while it lasts. Trying to hope that Daniel Florea doesn't get too much in his way. Of course, though, Daniel Florea has at least done all he needs to do for his pit stops. Following him behind as well, actually, Errol Uriksoy, Twisted, a Pro-Am driver in the mix of this fight. You can see the BMW just there. Now, what is that going to do for this fight? Are they going to let the Pro-Am car through, or are they going to keep the fight amongst themselves?
You never know with these boys either. Sometimes they just have a send out of nowhere. but we'll have to keep our eye on it. Jason Bridges needs to be careful here as well and try and get out of these guys' way as safely as possible. But still, we are now nearly 40 minutes through the race here.
Oh, there's a mistake. Runs a
Yep.
bit too wide, a bit too deep into the corner. Door momentarily opens up for the 14, but I think actually decides to back out of that one.
I've just realised as well that Fowler may have actually have pitted, but because I changed the software, Daniel Florea is off. Because I restarted the software, I was thinking it might not have picked up the fact that he's pitted. It does remain to sort of, well, it doesn't remain as it was with all of the data in it. It completely refreshes, so apologies. He may have pitted and I don't know it. Braden Carroll.
Both of them have pitted for me, Chaz.
Ah, okay, there we go then. So Michael Fowler leads this outright. Great pace from him. And Braden Carroll has just got past Andrew Rasmussen, the Lamborghini triumphing over the Audi. God's sake, Chaz. At that point, Rasmussen had to give him a bit of room, though. It looked like he was going to go slightly too hot into there, was Braden. But I suppose anything is better than how too hot he went into Rouge on the first lap last time out, because that was a very scary incident. You know, the sort of incidents, Ed, where you're glad it's a sim and not real life, because it was one hell of an impact up the top of Radion. It was unbelievable.
You just had to say Spa, and I would already think, oh yeah, that's a very scary circuit. If you have an incident, there's no such thing as a small incident at that track.
No.
Thankfully, here at Mid-Ohio, we've seen quite a few smaller incidents, no big ones other than, of course, the lap 1 incident in the Pro-Ams involving, I think, this man, actually, Eric Kalaga. We saw him in the mix, didn't we, in that fracas, I think you can call it.
Yeah.
But for now, he's carrying on pretty nicely. The Vulture Motorsports driver there in third place is Jason Bridges. Oh, gets a little bit too squirrely out of the corner. And again, has another moment in front of a battling pack.
Errol got really unlucky there, to be honest with you.
But that's going to be frustrating for Michael Fowler, because he's had that car in front of him for quite some time now. And then it goes and does that in front of him. Ooh.
To be fair, Errol committed to a line, and he went exactly where I would have gone as well. You know, I would have thought, it's going to go over to the left, like he's going to let it roll backwards. Suddenly the car gained a bunch of traction and just spat forwards into the path of everyone around it. We are now over 40 minutes in, and we are, well, just about the halfway point, aren't we, here? Actually, to be honest with you, we're going to get to the halfway point in about 20 seconds. It's 42 and a half minutes that makes up the halfway point of this race, unless my math is terribly off. But James Hebb is here in 5th position. Delano just in front of him by 6/10. Drew Neubauer is about 3 seconds up the road. Then Daniel Florea is another 9 seconds up the road. And then even ahead of that, they've got 4 seconds to Michael Fowler. So the AMs are a little bit spread out. They have been one of the more spread out classes this season as well. Usually a number of them end up off the lead lap in these races. But to be honest, they are one of the most entertaining. They're one of the most unpredictable classes, and that's what makes them so entertaining. You know, some of the drivers just have absolute banzai performances out of nowhere sometimes when a track really suits them, or they get lucky with other incidents. And then other times, you know, they'll have an absolutely awful evening of it. They'll get a DNF, and, you know, it might not have even been an incident that was their fault. The fortunes change a lot in this AM class, and the drivers are very determined, and good stuff on them, though, because they carry on.
Yeah, definitely. I had to, while you were talking through that, I was trying to work out maths myself of when the midway point of the races. I think we've already passed it, Chaz. I think it was 37 minutes 30.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh.
If my maths is...
yeah.
I might not be good at many things, but maths is something that I was decent enough at, as we can focus on the racing now, Chaz, and rather than getting depressed at mathematics, as we've got Eric Kalaga for Vulture Motorsports in 3rd place in the Pro-Ams. And it's got a fairly close fight in behind him, actually. Dean Timms, Twisted Racing in 4th, trying to find a way through. For the podium in Pro-Am, definitely heating up there, as we saw James Hebb. Wow, very loose at the rear there, and he's been able to deal with that. All the drivers have been dealing with that all race long.
Yeah, that's it. Like I say, the undulation here is one of the biggest challenges that these drivers have to face. You know, the car just slowly gets away from you. The GT3 cars, especially the mid-engined and rear-engine cars, they have such a horrible, slow, numb spin about them. Just this really awkward pendulum effect with the engine being so far back, most of the weight being at the rear. You know, as a supercar, that's why they handle so well. You know, the front is really light. They can use all the aero on the front end of the car, and it handles really well. But when it's a race car with the higher speeds that they're doing, just means it's that little bit more loose. I mean, Eric Kulaga's car there, you can see it do a big four-wheel slide over the crest into the carousel. He's trying to hold off Dean Timms right now. Jeremy Littleton wants to get in on this as well. He's not able to. Dave Menino is doing purple sectors meanwhile. He has just done purple sectors in 3 and 4 at the end of the lap on that last lap. 120.8 he did. Fastest lap of the race is Dave Menino. 120.6, although the Lamborghini just reminds him that it's not all plain sailing for a second there. Wow, that was a touchy moment, wasn't it?
Very well held, though, from Dave Menino. Shows exactly how he's been able to extend his advantage. I was just saying that when he came out of the pits, his advantage was 10 seconds. It's now 12. It was 13, but lost a second just through that one little moment. And that could be a sign for him to maybe back off just a little bit more. He can't afford too many more mistakes like that, because Tenorio and Ouellette will certainly be there to punish him should this stint not go the way he was hoping.
Yeah, it's all important time now for Dave Menino to keep his foot down and crack on with the job at hand. These 3 Ferraris in the middle of the field providing a lot of entertainment. Eric Kulaga just ahead of Dean Timms, and then Jeremy Littleton, as we have seen. We'll go on board actually with Jeremy Littleton just so you can see how this fight looks from here, because he's going to be egging on Dean Timms right now, saying, go on, just send it down the inside, or go on, start a fight, you know, keep the two of you together so I can pounce and take advantage. He just wants some of this ahead of him to just completely end in tears. That's, you know, you don't wish bad on your fellow competitors, but for the sake of your race, you know, you might do. I'm sure in Formula 1 the other day it was the same for you, Ed. You know, there was such a deadlock with people in the slipstream and easily staying with one another. You were just probably hoping that, you know, oh, just fall off, you know, just have a moment. Well, there's a moment for Jeremy Littleton.
I mean, I'm not going to say too much, but I was kind of hoping that when I was leading the race and everyone else was trying to pass me and I was defending, I was hoping that that would upset the apple cart a little bit for people in behind and see what would happen. I mean, when you are a racing driver, all thoughts of camaraderie, all thoughts of, oh yeah, we're all together, one happy family, they're right out the window when you're in behind the wheel. As Dave Menino into the pits, he comes from the lead. Tenorio and Ouellette come on past. So now for Menino, this is crunch time. This final stint needs to be absolutely nailed down, as Andrew Rasmussen, what on earth has happened here?
He's just overdone it, I think, into turn 4. Absolute nightmare of a moment. Gary Brown's also had a moment of his own just after this. He's on the power over the crest of the hill. It was just as Rasmussen came back on, so it'll be any second now, and I think this car's going to over-rotate to the left, don't you? No? No, actually, it's behaved. Is it going to over-rotate to the right? No. Seems like there was quite the gap between these two things happening. About 20 seconds, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to Gary here, or whether it's already happened. If I click to just check, it's probably going to happen right now, isn't it, to be honest with you? Here we go, let's have a look. Oh no, it was before all of that, so literally at the right time when Rasmussen went off. Just a little kiss to the barrier as well. That car looks like it's had a bit of contact on all 4 angles so far, doesn't it? It's been a tough race for that Porsche.
Tough race for quite a lot of the Porsches here this evening. We've seen that this is not the track for that car. The undulation really taking several Porsches out of the equation. In fact, actually, looking at most of the cars that are in the pits are out of the action or way down the order. I think every single Porsche is right down at the back of the field just because of how this circuit was really punished that weight distribution.
Still keep our eyes on this battle with these Ferraris. There is another battle further down, but Errol Uriksoy and Daniel Florea, those two not in the same class, so it's not technically for position. But we're near the 50-minute mark now, and Dave Menino, by the way, has come out 21 seconds behind Daniel Tenorio. Now, I have pit lane time calculated at 44 seconds. However, the guys ahead are going to take much shorter pit stops this time, aren't they? So that's going to be a good 10 seconds less, 30 seconds. I think Meneno, with all the fighting that's been going on, he's home and dry here as long as he can keep this stint up to a decent pace.
He does have some battling cars up ahead of him, though, and that could be a deciding factor. Yet again, Chaz, like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the traffic, that could throw one last little twist in the tail here at Mid-Ohio as we follow Dean Timms yet again trying to find a way through Eric Galaga, who's been putting up a brilliant defense so far. Nothing dramatic, nothing too daring from Eric, but just putting his car in the perfect spot to stop Dean Timms and his assault, his charge to try and get up into P3.
Great stuff. I love the onboards from the Ferrari. It's a very busy dashboard. There's plenty going on. You've got the rear view camera as well. I've spent many hours in this car. Maybe not the newest version of the car. I only actually bought it the other day. As into the pits goes Eric Kulaga. Eric decides that now is the time to pull the trigger and get on into the pits. Just having a bit of a frame rate drop there for just a second, everybody. Apologies for that there. We are having, for anybody that doesn't know, we are having horrendous weather here in the UK at the moment. There is massive storm-like winds, nearly 100-mile-an-hour winds in most parts of the country right now. So there are things like connections and so on, and phone lines and whatever else being affected. I noticed that my my internet earlier on had suffered quite a bit. So I'm surprised it's taken until now, actually, to drop some frames. But in terms of the broadcast itself, we've only dropped 0.2% of our frames so far. So I'm pretty sure that there's not too much to be worried about.
Lovely, lovely broadcast stats there from Chaz Drake got here in the booth. And again, I had some issues as well, Chaz, talking about weather with my internet. Luckily, those seem to be all resolved and sorted by now.
Yeah, sounds good.
As we come to a crucial phase of this race now for Tenorio and Ouellette. Tenorio closing a gap to the Canadian in second place that we're following at this moment in time, coming up to the keyhole. And now Tenorio with clear air, with Meneno with clear air, as we just see John Cooper yet again have another spin.
Okay.
Just keeps it out of the tyre barriers, I think. We can't really see from that angle, but I think this is a crucial phase now. It's going to be a race between Tenorio and Meneno. Both of them trying to make the most of as clear air as they can. Tenorio, look at that clear track all the way up in front. Just him and the stopwatch now before he comes into the pits. What about Dave Meneno? What is his circuit looking like? How much traffic is up the road? It's clear as day for him as well. So this is it. Basically a straight shoot between the two of them. Who can hop that the fastest at Mid-Ohio will probably determine the outcome of this race.
Awesome situation to witness. Maybe not the most awesome situation to be in. I imagine it's quite a scary time, but we've seen what Dave's like before. He really does keep a cool head. He's a really nice guy as well, and very, very quick. That Lamborghini certainly looks incredibly aggressive, but that's not Dave's style. He's just one of those sort of what we call a sleeper, isn't he? You know, he's just under the radar, gets the job done. He's incredibly quick, and he just knows exactly when to push and how to work these strategies out, and he's been a real master of these strategies this season. He's not gone down the simple route of just running the car in till it's dry and then completely fill it up and then send it out again and just launch it into every corner. You know, he's being particular, he's been meticulous about this sort of thing. He's thinking, right, if I take this much fuel now, then I can take a full tank at the end and then just rag it the whole way. We've got Drew Neubauer and James Hebb side by side down towards turn 4 as we're near the hour mark of this race already. Neubauer just has the BMW steps slightly out of shape on him there, but gets away with it. That was James Hebb actually overtaking him, so James now continues to move forward in the field. It's another one of the SRT eSport cars, actually. I have been meaning to change his team name, so I think I'm going to have to go about that right now, because otherwise I'll forget, and then it'll be another week down the line, and it still won't have been changed. So apologies to James for that.
Just following the pace of Tenorio and also Meneno. Last time by Tenorio did a 121.2, Meneno 121.1. About a tenth of a second separating the pair of them. And that could be very, very crucial later on in the race. Actually, last time by, as Dave Menino has just come across the timing line, just broke the beam, he lost a 10th. So they're swapping and changing. Time before, it was a 10th in favour of Menino. Now it's a 10th in favour of Tenorio. This is a dead heat between the pair of them.
Great stuff here. Awesome tussling. Like you say, something's got to give at some point soon. But Tenorio, he will need to pit. Last time he pitted was lap 24. We're now on the 40th lap of the race. Braden Carroll has gone off the road in the Lamborghini. Oh my goodness me. That was Eric Kilaga having the fright of his life there with the Lamborghini coming off the road. Let's have a look at this from the back of Eric Kilaga's car. Oh, actually, there was contact between the two. But to be fair, Eric was already down the inside. Ready for it? Wow. Wow, oh wow. So let's try and have a look at this again then. So Eric does go, I mean, he's down the inside for a while, isn't he? To be fair, it's not like he ran wide into Braden, and it wasn't like he hit him last minute. The car was more than alongside. He made the apex. I think Braden just didn't expect him quite to get that far alongside him.
How much of a hit that Lamborghini can take. Look at it.
Yeah, that's
still
very true.
Looking relatively all in one piece.
Yeah, that's true. It is an absolute tank of a car, to be honest with you. It is a real tank of a car. So fair play to him, because I think if he was in anything else, maybe if he was in the Audi, it might be a bit more fragile and would probably take a massive clattering. But when is Tenorio going to pit? That's my main question that's playing on my mind here. I'm thinking it surely can't be long before we see him in.
I reckon it'll probably be in the next 4 minutes. You would imagine probably pitting maybe at the hour mark, just have a final 15-minute sprint.
Yeah, we've seen a few of them actually, haven't we, this season, where drivers do come in just after an hour, or at least they exit the pits just after an hour. So we'll have to see. This is the end of his 41st lap, and yep, he's going to carry on once again here. He's now got 2.7 seconds over Jonathan Ouellette. Jonathan's just...
And actually, last time by, he extended his margin, sorry, he's cut across to Chaz by another 2.5 tenths.
He's done it by 5
So he's wrapping
as well.
quicker than Menino.
Yeah, he's really flying now, actually. It's Daniel Tenorio. He's properly got into his rhythm. 21.2, 21.7 by Jonathan Ouellette last time round. He's really not been able to match him. Where's Menino in all this? Let's check his time. 1:21.29 by Daniel Tenorio. And it is a 1:21.05 by Menino. So he is properly on it now. Properly on it. He may be still about half a second, 4 tenths off the fastest lap of the race, but that's peanuts, isn't it, really, for Dave Menino. He's 22 seconds off the race leader, and even with a short stop, if I look down there at other drivers that have had short pit stops, they're in the pits for about 30 to 34 seconds. So Menino, I reckon here, will have this. He'll have a good 7 or 8 second lead.
However, Menino is now going to come up to traffic in the next few minutes. You can see it'll come at a crucial time, just as Tenorio will expect him to come into the pits. Will probably be when Menino catches this battling pack.
I'll figure out who that is as well. They're all together, but they're all on different laps.
That's Fowler, Urixoy, and Martinez.
You're right, it is. It's the current class leader in Pro-Am as well, Dalziel, that was at the front of it. That's the 63 of Errol Urixoy and Michael Fowler, one of which is Pro-Am, the other is Am, but Michael Fowler showing that he's got a bit more pace, maybe a bit more confidence than Errol right now. Errol's had a few rounds where he's just not quite got dialed in to what the car or the circuit's doing, and never mind a few minutes, Ed. Dave Menino is right with this lot already.
Lost a bit of time there, though. 3 tenths.
It's incredible how quickly this is changing one way then the other. I still think Menino's going to be safe so long as he doesn't get caught up in anything silly here with these boys. What's he going to be like? Is he going to be flashing the lights and saying get out of the way? Because, I mean, I think it'd be just about right if he did. He makes his way down the back straight towards turn 4. What is Michael Fowler going to do? Michael's making it very clear that he's not moving out of the way. Dave makes it clear that he wants him to by putting his nose down the inside. He doesn't want to have to do that and compromise his lines here. This is not the ideal scenario for him. Tenorio's just coming to the end of a lap. He's carried a lot of pace into there. Still not pitting, though. Still not pitting. Lap number 43 is now complete. And Meneno's still behind this traffic, so this is not good times for Meneno. Errol Uriksoi moving out of the way. He's probably thinking, well, why aren't you doing the same, Michael? You know, you need to get out of it as well. Maybe these guys are going to pit this time round. They think, well, there's no point if we're going to make it onto pit road. But no, Michael Fowler not pitting, so we'll see. Kai Dalziel into the pits from the Pro-Am class lead as well, Ed.
So the Mercedes makes its final stop of the race. We are seeing plenty of drivers coming in for their last stops. Brent Bravata coming on by. He's already pitted once this race, so he needs to come in yet again, as does Dean Timms and Jeremy Littleton, who are currently first, second, and third, respectively. Kai comes out in fourth place, but is, in terms of the Pro-Am class, highest of the cars that have pitted, as you would have expected, to be fair, considering the sheer amazing gap that he was able to pull out in the first 10 minutes of racing. It's very likely to be Kai's race to win in the Pro-Ams, but in the Pros, it's still anyone's guess. Can Tenorio keep this pace up? Does Dave Meneno have it in him? Is he in clear air once more? Yes, he is. Just got through, didn't he? Justin Delano there, I think.
He's got another Lamborghini driver just ahead of him as well. Just trying to pick out which one that was. I think it might be Braden Carroll. Yes, it is. So that's the Eclipse Racing Esports solar car. Don't think he's going to do too much to get in the way. Stephen Martinez into the pits. One of the first boxes as well. That's a real tough thing to make work, that, when you're one of the first pit stops. Or at least one of the first awnings, let's say. He's spinning up the rears, though.
Tyres.
Yeah, he's. I think he's just revving it up, saying, no, I don't want the tyres, boys. He's absolutely ruined that rear set. But we're over an hour and a minute through this race now, Ed, and Daniel Tenorio's still not in. His last lap was a 1:21.2.
He'll be coming in this lap. He's got traffic.
Yeah, Meneno was a 1:21.3 as well, so another 10th gained, but still don't think it's going to be enough. The overall gap is 23.5 seconds. That didn't sound like it wanted to change up for a second there for Tenorio.
Was it spluttering? He's going a lot slower now. Is he maybe running out of fuel? Did he miss his... I'm not sure what's going on there.
I think he is.
He's having to coast a lot.
Yeah.
So he might have just misjudged it on the fuel. He's coming in now. Be very grateful that it started to cough and splutter then, but he's lost so much time now. Lost about a second, maybe two, to Meneno just from that little moment. And that could seal the deal. Where is Dave at this moment in time? Just coming up, actually, to the carousel right now. This is it, the right-hander. Then the left, shortly to come up. It will be a quick stop for Tenorio, as he's starting to get moving, but be a little bit too late, I think, as around the outside goes Dave Meneno. He's made it work. He's gotten ahead of the once race leader, Tenorio, but that gap is still very close. It's within slipstream range. This final 12.5 minutes of racing, it can still go either way here. A true battle till the end.
And in the Pro-Ams as well, Bravata and Timms still need to pit. Kai Dalziel is only 9 seconds behind them, but these two twisted cars having a little fight. Daniel Florea has gained 13 places in this race. He currently leads his class, but I believe he is still yet to pit. Michael Fowler will then inherit the AM class lead. He's ahead of Errol Uriksoi, and then 2.5 seconds ahead of Justin Delano, of course, championship leader in the AM class as well. But Jonathan Ouellette's still yet to pit as well, though, let's remember. Jonathan, for some reason, has just managed to make that fuel last even longer. In he goes. I'm not sure he's going to come out in front of Meneno, though, because he started to lose quite a bit of time to Tenorio, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And let's not forget, Tenorio, he lost a lot of time on his in-lap, about a second perhaps, and that could have been the difference between coming out ahead of the Lamborghini or just in behind that gap. As we see Tyler Campbell as well coming into the pits, is going to be a gap for the lead, and it is 1.2 seconds as they make their way into turn one. Ouellette comes out in behind Tenorio, as does Campbell in behind Ouellette. Plenty of cars in amongst it, though. AM class battlers, AM class traffic to negotiate, as well as Pro-Ams trying to scrap for honours in this very late stage of the race.
I was just going on board there just to see what was happening with Michael Fowler's car. He had a big blink in and out there. Whether it was a hardware issue or a internet-based issue, the car was certainly not staying where it was on the circuit. Certainly blinking in and out quite a lot, but he gets away with that. Braden Carroll and Errol Yuriksoy, by the way, are actually fighting for position in the Pro-Am class. That's 6th and 7th, but they've got the Am cars in amongst them in this little quartet that we've got going on track. Lead battle, though, still 1.5 seconds between Dave Meneno and Daniel Tenorio. And I think Dave may just hold on to that. Just about to hit an hour and 5 minutes. 10 minutes to go. We should get about 7 more laps, though, after that.
Yeah, I think we will have still plenty of time to go in this race, as I was actually noticing how on earth have Bravata and Tim's got the fuel to last this long. As big moment. That's Michael Fowler and Braden Carroll off. Into the pits comes somebody. I think that was Brent Bravata, just making his way into the pits from the Pro-Am class lead.
Oh, no.
Oh, my word.
Oh, Fowler's
Was that a mix-up of drivers wanting to come into the pits, others wanting to stay out?
Let's have a look. So Michael Fowler got past Errol Yuriksoy. This was earlier on in the lap, so apologies. So we'll try and pick this apart. We'll slow-mo it. So Errol's right behind Michael, and to be fair, I think Michael's just focusing on what he's doing. He's late on the brakes, straight lines it, and clatters into the back of Braden Carroll, and then Braden backs into him. Obviously, not on purpose, but yeah, the two of them straighten each other up, and off they go. But yeah, I think some of them maybe just taking it a bit easy into there to pit, like you say, Ed. I think you're spot on with that assumption there. And now Braden Carroll has come into the pits this time round. John Casey also into the pits too. Andrew Rasmussen's off the road again at the keyhole. The car has certainly got some damage on the right hand side. I'd argue that he might have got a little bit of help there. Let's have a look. Oh, he's already had a moment actually before this, look. Oh, that'll be where the damage came from, and that. So then I can imagine this car's going to be handling like, oh yeah, he's clipped the grass anyway, but yeah, I imagine that, to be honest with you, he's not going to be too happy a bunny right now in that car.
No, definitely not. Things probably knocked out of alignment, causing that car to be an absolute nightmare to handle into the keyhole, which is where we're seeing Dave Meneno and Tenorio come through now. Gap 1.5 seconds still, as getting very clearly out of the way is car in 20th place. I think that is... Who is that actually? Just getting through out of the way. Well, whoever it was, very good stuff. Keeping it nice out of the way. Yeah, placence there.
Yeah, and that's the
now
thing.
He's going to have in behind Tenorio catching it probably one of the worst places now through the twisty turny bits.
Yeah,
never mind.
Oh well, lovely stuff by Matthew Plaisance, has to be said. Gary Brown has had another nightmare of a race meeting, it has to be said. Daniel Florea just comes in the pits as well from the AMs. Gary Brown, in what was left of his Porsche, goes off the road. Jonathan Ouellette has also been off the road here as well, actually. He's just over-rotated it down at turn 4. We don't often see mistakes from Jonathan, to be fair. So that is a rare one. Daniel Florea...
That gives third place. That's a podium, I think, for Tyler Campbell.
Yeah, it is, actually. He's managed to make his way through. Nicely spotted, Ed. Tyler Campbell now car 3, P3. Daniel Florea came into the pits and has come back out, and he's actually still in the lead of the AMs by the look of it. Now, the number 9 car just going past is obviously not for position. Justin Delano is through turn 2. So Michael Fowler obviously dropping down because of that incident. That's cost him a lot. Kai Dalziel has just re-inherited the lead in the Pro-Ams, as Dean Timms is coming out of the pits now, whereas Brent Bravata, I think he's just about to come past our shot and cross the line. Yep, there he is in the Twisted Racing Ferrari. Dean Timms makes his way through, and somebody just blew an engine.
Either blew an engine or scraped the barrier in the pit lane. I'm not sure.
I think... Who else was in the pits? John Cooper. I think John Cooper's engine just randomly expired. Ready? If this happens, yeah. There you go. Boom. Not many people know that, but when you have got the car sat there for a long, long time and the oil pressure goes down and the car just settles, after about, well, 10, 15 minutes, the engines just explode. Honestly,
I've never seen that.
The amount of times I've been painting a car, because before we had the model viewer and everything, like the little showroom thing that we have on iRacing now, used to just spawn the car in, have it sat in the pits for ages. I'd maybe start the car or get in it just so it's there. And then 10, 15 minutes later, yeah, if you still have it playing as live rather than pausing it, then yeah, the engine would just explode. It happens, trust me. I've seen it a lot, and I tell people about it, and they go, nah, it doesn't happen. There you go, there's proof.
I'm a believer now, Chaz. I'll tell you that much. I am definitely a believer now.
It's nuts, isn't it? It's
very,
the funniest
very
thing. It's the funniest thing. You're just sitting there, and suddenly, bang, there's a really dramatic noise, and the engine's gone. But, oh well. We just had a quick look at Tenorio there. The gap's about 1.5 seconds still to Dave Menino. I want to give a quick shout even more to this guy, Kai Dalziel, if I can say his name right anyway, poor bloke. But he's just been absolutely notorious at the front of this pack. He's 13 seconds clear over Brent Bravata. He made his debut last time out at Spa. Didn't have the best of evenings from what I remember. If I have a look down the order, he got 45 points, which is a mid-pack result in the Pro-Ams. And to be fair to him, he's been absolutely supreme here. He's led every single lap since the very start. And it's great to see that Mercedes back on form, because it's a car that you only ever really see at certain special events now. You know, the class is dominated by the Porsches, the BMWs, the Lamborghinis, and of course, this new Ferrari. I mean, look at the timing tower on the left at how many Ferraris there are. But this Mercedes, when it came out, first came to iRacing, you know, it was just an absolute monster. It was rapid in a straight line. It absorbed all the curbs. It handled really well. It was really stable. It was the best car by a mile. And then go back about maybe even 12 months, not even that, and the car got absolutely walloped. Never mind nerfed. This thing got walloped in the face with a baseball bat and then left out in the cold for 3 months. It was just completely ruined, and it's great to see that drivers are still making something of it, isn't it?
It's a bit like how the Ford GT was, you know, about a year or so ago. That car was, I mean, it still is, to be fair, the Ford GT, completely forgotten about by iRacing. But yeah, the Mercedes, I have very fond memories of this car. It was the first GT3 I ever drove, the first thing I drove in an endurance capacity. It's been one of the things that really got me hooked onto iRacing and has allowed me to be here today, commentating for you all. So maybe some of you in the chat are maybe cursing the Mercedes there for bringing me to you today, but I'll tell you what, it is a great little bit of kit, as we see. Great little battle, actually, between Martinez and Neubauer. And we haven't really seen much of Stephen Martinez this race so far, have we? But it's a very nice livery, Vulture Motorsports Blue, with a little bit of a almost matte finish on that livery. Very nice indeed. We've already talked about Team Premat running the BMW. Very nice looking car. Again, white, red and black. But those colours obviously work very well on the BMW. We are approaching, of course, the very late stages of this race, and Tyler Campbell under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he is. All of a sudden, Jonathan Ouellette is right there with him, and Hulk Smash is on the order of the day. Look at that. Smash the cones as well. He's Hulk Smash indeed. Jonathan Ouellette will not be happy. After the earlier incident, really gains a lot on the brakes there. I think Tyler had to slam on because there's a car in front of him. That is Errol Uricksoy in the 63. Not doing anyone any favours. As off the road goes Matthew Plaisance. That's certainly a committed way of getting out of the way of traffic, isn't it? He says, look at how good of a lap traffic car I am. Throws it off the road completely. But yeah, it's a complicated scenario. Harry Will's in there as well. And look at that. Tyler saying to Errol, come on, mate, get out of the way. Gets very close just to prove the point. Errol pulls over nice and tidily to the right-hand side. Fair play to him. And Tyler and Jonathan will continue this fight. Gap at the front, 1.1 seconds right now. And we are coming into the final 2 laps of the race. We'll get one more after this. Dave Menino still leads, but can Daniel chase him down and close that gap enough?
It could be very close. Like you say, not too long to go in this race, but Dave Menino is going to get a helping of slipstream from those cars just up the road. You can see they are battling. It could all come to a head on the last lap of racing here at Mid-Ohio. So Tenorio, all he can do now is just drive the wheels off his Ferrari. He's done it so good this race so far, but great defenses all of a sudden for me, Meneno was blinking a little bit there, Chaz. Are we maybe going to see a repeat of Silverstone there? I thought it just flashed across my mind.
I really hope not, for Dave's sake. Anyone that doesn't know, Dave basically led every single lap at Silverstone. Actually, I think, again, for the first few laps, he... he did qualify on pole because he did the pre-qualifying at Suzuka, which he won. Dave was at the front of the grid at Silverstone, led every lap, pulled off a blinder of a strategy, as he does, and then with about 5 minutes to go of the race, he disconnected on the spot. There was no early warning for it, nothing. It just went. But he's on to the final lap now. Here's Meneno for SRT Esport. He's gone through turn 1 nice and cleanly, and the gap, has definitely come down now. Tenorio, he's flashing the lights and everything. He's proving the point. He's saying, I'm coming for you, Dave. I'm coming. He's chasing him down, and this is not looking like a friendly place to be. Now, the slipstream's going to be big down here, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Tenorio to catch up into turn 4.
It might not be, but you never know. It's going to be a very late lunge down the inside. It's the only thing he can do to get any chance of a race victory. But he's not going to do it. He's got a slot in behind now and just put a lot of pressure on Dave. Hope that he makes a mistake. Meanwhile, further behind, a battle's erupting for P3, P4. Because look at this, Harry Wills somehow has been able to get his battered and bruised twisted rear wing on that Twisted Racing Team Audi R8 up in behind. Jonathan Ouellette looks to find a pass around the outside. Doesn't work out for him. Tyler Campbell needs to weather the storm from Ouellette to hold on to P3. Dave Meneno, he's done so well all race long, hasn't he, Chaz? Just one more corner to go, and he will take race victory at Mid-Ohio.
It's been a fantastic championship for Dave so far. He's really flexed on the opposition with his strategies, and he's done it again. Dave Meneno takes the win at Mid-Ohio. What a fantastic drive that was. Daniel Tenorio, hats off for that brilliant chase all the way through. Tyler Campbell's currently in third, but is he going to hold on to it? Jonathan Ouellette gives it a send around the carousel. Doesn't quite make that work. Is Harry Wills going to be able to get a cutback on him? I think he might, but no. Tyler Campbell's going to get third position. Car 3, P3. Ouellette fourth, Wills in fifth. And then after that, Ed, it's going to be our Pro-Am winner, who has been absolutely, as I said before, supreme.
Yeah, Kai Dazil comes up across the line. What a drive from him. Blew the opposition out of the water. You have to say, a very dominant performance in a car that is definitely unfavoured. Makes it probably all the more sweeter for Kai as he takes P1 in the Pro-Am class. Dean Timms there, you can just see rounding out the final corner. Comes across in second place, and Brent Bravata, Twisted Racing, making it a great, well-earned podium finish in the Pro-Ams. And then Daniel Florea, all out on his lonesome, had a great race, a great fight as well, didn't he, earlier on with Justin Delano. And from then on out, it was relatively plain sailing for the Twisted Racing driver. Got plenty of time to savour, I think, this in lap as he makes his way up to the final sector, and we'll see the checker flag greeting him. He will take P1 in the AM class.
I think he's already taken it, actually. He was a lap down.
Oh.
He was just in amongst all of the leaders, so Florea's taken the checkered flag there. Delano second. James Hebb gets a third place in class for SRT Esport as well, so great stuff from those guys. That was awesome racing all the way through. And one by one, we'll go through the different classes and their separate results. Here is your pro result. Dave Meneno takes another win in the Pro Championship. Supreme season from him so far. That's his third win, so a 50% win ratio so far this season. Daniel Tenorio finished only 0.7 of a second back. He's really looking for that second win of the season. Tyler Campbell gets third place. That's a really, really good result for him. Some strong points on the board. And then Jonathan Ouellette in fourth. Harry Wills was right behind as well. Really made the most of dragging that battered and bruised Audi, as he said, to the end of the race. Unfortunately, John Cooper didn't make it to the flag, but after a very unsatisfying day, very frustrating day, you can understand. Ed, why don't you take it away with the Pro-Ams?
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yeah, Kai, what a drive from him. Wins the Pro-Am class by a margin of almost 19 seconds to Dean Timms in the Twisted Racing Team Ferrari. Finishes ahead of his teammate Brent Bravata, who rounds out the podium in a Pro-Am. Jeremy Littleton comes home in P4, ahead of Eric Kalaga and Errol Eriksoy. Then we come down to Andrew Rasmussen, P7, Braden Carroll, P8, Jeff Carollo, Michael Kulaga, Gary Brown, Mark Sigelkov, and Logan Wyder. Team Premat all the way down had a round to forget in P13.
He certainly did. Some of the drivers not getting on with Mid-Ohio at all. Daniel Florea took the win in the AM class, 10 seconds clear of Justin Delano, but that certainly doesn't tell the story of what a fantastic fight they had. James Hebb finishes third, strong result for him, a great night for SRT Esport, ahead of Stephen Martinez by about 5 seconds. Drew Neubauer gets a top 5 in 5th place, with Michael Fowler in 6th. Then one lap down we had Matthew Plaisance, who to be fair was probably the best and most entertaining lap traffic of the night. John Casey was 2 laps down, and then Jason Bridges, after having another nightmare with that Mercedes, unfortunately did not make it to the end. So, it's about that time of the night, Ed, you know it by now. We've got plenty of drivers to interview. Who do you want to pick? Because, I mean, as much as this may sound rude, we've heard a lot from Dave Menino this season. We do have other drivers in there as well, which we could potentially have a chat with. Who do you reckon we should get our hands on?
I think usually we come down to the pro class, Victor, but let's mix things up. I think let's bring in Kai Lazille into the broadcast booth and we can have a chat to him now. I think I'll let you do the honors, Chaz.
Kai Dalziel, what a fantastic drive that was, mate. You must be absolutely buzzing there. You just seemed completely supreme in that one. I mean, I've used that word a lot tonight.
Oh, man, it was, first of all, I'd like to thank Eclipse for having me out here. Honestly, it was a pretty crazy race. I'm completely shocked how I pulled away that much. It was just pretty good to have a nice gap and then just put my head down and just hope for the best that I don't come in any traffic. And I guess it worked out in my favor today.
It certainly did. I mean, was there something specific about the circuit, about the car that felt different tonight, or was it a bit of just same old, and you felt a bit lucky?
I don't know. I think I got a little bit lucky on the traffic, but the car felt pretty good, honestly. The Mercedes it's good. It's good. I love the car.
Well, we were talking about the car near the end of the race as well. I mean, it used to be the go-to machine. And Ed and I have raced in many a GT3 league where over the last few years it was pretty much all Mercedes with maybe the odd Ferrari and the odd McLaren even, you know, the outdated MP412C. But it's great to see the car being used like that. Is it a car that you've always enjoyed, or is it something that's come on recently?
I used to drive the Lamborghini, and I kind of was a Porsche person, but I didn't think the Porsche, the back end was just a little bit too loose for me. Mm-hmm. So I kind of decided to, hey, I don't see anybody driving the AMG. Let's give it a try, and it's going pretty well.
You can say that again, mate. Obviously, for the rest of the championship, do you have this sort of extra boost of confidence now as we head to Zolder?
Yeah, honestly, I'm quite excited when we go to Zolder. I've raced there a couple of times. So I'm pretty confident. I have to work on a setup, but I'm pretty sure hopefully I'll be up there again.
Well, we look forward to seeing it, Kai. Is there anybody you'd like to give a thanks to?
First of all, yeah, like I said, I would like to get a big thanks to Eclipse. I would just like to thank Justin. He's an awesome guy. Me and him were just practicing a bunch of the times by ourselves, and yeah, honestly, good job to him.
Lovely stuff. Well, great to speak to you, Kai. Very well done, mate, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers.
Yep. See you.
A very humble and deserving winner there, Ed. Interestingly enough as well, just into the waiting room, we have had Daniel Florea, our AM class winner. Why don't you take it away with Daniel?
Yeah, hello, Daniel. Good to have you here, mate. That was a cracking drive from yourself. We saw some good fights, some good battles in the early stage, and when you got into the lead, it didn't look likely you were going to lose it. Just talk us through how that race went from your perspective.
Pretty good. I mean, I stayed consistent. That was kind of my goal. That was, the biggest thing in my mind, as I've not been so consistent in the last couple of races. And it helped that Justin, I think he took tires or he did a third stop. I couldn't tell. I saw something in chat, but yeah, it probably should have been him or Mike's. He was up there pretty good too, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about consistency. How difficult was it to get to grips with a very technical and tricky Mid-Ohio circuit?
Yeah, this track is pretty hard. You can easily burn up your tires, I think, or at least overheat them. That was one thing that I learned in my practice sessions that I did. So my goal here was to set the same time every single lap, and that let me know I wasn't going to burn up my tires and keep them to the end. So.
Another thing as well about this race is that because of how technical and twisty it is, that can have a little bit of a knock-on effect with terms of traffic navigation and management. How is it from you as obviously in the AM class, being at the top of the AM class, you have to look both in front of you and behind?
Thankfully, I think I did my pit stops pretty good. I caught, I think, a couple lap traffic, but overall, I was on the right track or the right path of that. I know a lot of people took different pit stops at different times, so I think that probably ended up hurting him in the long run because so many people changed. So.
Yeah, and we come away from the North American track here at Mid-Ohio. We go across the pond yet again, this time to Zolder. What are your opinions of that track? Do you think you can have another repeat performance, take another podium, another win?
I would like to. This is another track that is going to be very technical, going to easily burn up your tires on this one too. A lot of twisty turns and stuff, so it should be fun. Just definitely need to get some practice in and figure out what my lap times would be to keep consistent. That's kind of my goal.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, thanks for jumping in Tower well with us. Congratulations on your race victory. Before we say goodbye to you and let you celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to here on the broadcast?
Of course, my wife, for dealing with all the stuff I do, and my kids for not bugging me while I race, and of course the team helping me out, giving me tips, stuff like that. So it's great, and thanks for the broadcast too.
Perfectly put, mate. You know where your priorities lie. Thank the wife first. There you go.
Love it, Daniel. I feel that as well about the kids not bothering you, flipping out. But GG, mate. Love that, and look forward to seeing how you get on next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Cheers. You're definitely right there, Ed. He certainly has the priorities in order there. Happy wife, happy life. That's what everybody says. Well, I mean, we had an amazing race at the front of the field, and one of the guys that was an absolute star of the show today for me was Daniel Tenorio. Dan, it obviously wasn't the result you would have wanted, just missing out on the win there, but you had a hell of a fight with just about everybody around you. Talk us through it.
Oh my god, yeah, that was probably the most fun I've had in a long time. I absolutely love that track. It's actually my home track. I live just about an hour from there.
Oh, cool.
So I go there every year for the IMSA races, the IndyCar races. So
I
I wanted to do well here, and I know it pretty well. Dave had a better fuel strategy and just edged me out there, but he knows I was giving it everything in those last couple laps.
Well, we were really, really on the edge of our seats because the gap was going down bit by bit, and then onto the final lap or so, it came down to about 0.6, then 0.3 at one point when you really closed up. And we honestly thought that there might just be a last gasp moment where you could get it, but just seems like Dave is he's developed a lot of consistency as we've seen over the whole season. Do you think that you can maybe rattle that from him in the last few rounds?
I hope so. The next tracks I'm decent at, and I think I can get a pretty good setup. And he's really hard to pressure into a mistake, though. So it's going to be tough, but the battle's going to be great either way. So I'm just excited for that.
And what do you make of Zolder, the next track on the calendar? Is it a circuit you enjoy? Because it's usually a bit of a Marmite circuit, as we'd call it.
I like it. I think it's actually really kind of similar to Mid-Ohio in a way. Kind of abstractly, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of commitment, a lot of it's not really a speed track, which I like. I like tracks where you have to fight to put the power down, and minimum speed is key. And yeah, a lot of commitment, and I'm looking forward to it.
And a lot of curbs as well, of course, to try and avoid in these GT3 cars. But either way, Dan, that was a fantastic fight tonight. We really enjoyed watching that. You were definitely my driver of the day if we did such a vote. Is there anybody you'd like to give a quick thank you to?
Just again, Twisted helped me with setups, helping everybody in the team get faster, and we usually work together in the races until it comes down to it. Then we fight. But yeah, we're a great team, so I'd like to thank those guys.
Nicely put, Dan. Well, great to speak to you, buddy. Well done on a great result, and we look forward to seeing how you get on at Zolder. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
And there we go, Ed. Once again, time flies when you're having fun. We always have a good laugh in the box together, but what a great race that was before us. Dave Menino and Dan Tenorio, fantastic fight all the way through. Kai Dalziel dominating the Pro-Ams. And in the AMs, once again, it could have been anybody's race, but Daniel Florea was the man that came out on top. Mid-Ohio certainly has not disappointed, has it?
No, it really hasn't. I was looking forward to this, my first bit of commentating at this track, and like you mentioned, it was a real treat. This Race Anyway World Series Leagues event has always given us some great racing. I remember Silverstone, ever since Silverstone, I've wanted to get back in the booth. Hopefully, things permitting, I'll be joining you for Zolder. We shall see, Chaz, we shall see.
Yes, indeed. We'll certainly go through those details, mate. It'd be great to complete the season with you. But that is all we have time for now, I'm afraid, everybody. As you have heard, though, we will be back in a week's time here on Absolute Sim Racing for the next round of the championship at Zolder. I've been Chaz Draycott, joined by Ed May on Absolute Sim Racing for the Race Anywhere World Series Season 2 from Mid-Ohio. For now, though, have a fantastic evening, everybody, and we'll see you in a week. Cheers.
'Cause I start thinking again about our time.